Hi, my name is Beth Hiley here for Board Game Geek TV. I'm sitting down with Huron Domen over there on the end and Joris Vishinka, and you guys are from Splatter, and you've brought us probably one of the biggest spreads we've had on our table, which I think is only appropriate that we talk about spreads because we're talking about food chain Magnate.
Yeah, that's right. It's our new game. Like all of our games, it's a very heavy, complicated
and you
board
were saying
game.
literally,
It
this
is
one was
literally heavy. Yes, we have lots.
Both literally and figuratively.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. And so we have the challenge to explain it in about 5 minutes here, as I understand. So
Thereabouts.
we'll try to do that. So the game is set in 1950s America, and you are building a food chain. So you're building a fast food franchise, if you will, but you're doing that both on the board, where you are going to build restaurants.
That's these little things.
So I'll put a restaurant right here. So here you have, for instance, the Santa Maria pizza chain. Obviously, it has to be next to a road because we're in the US, so people have to drive there. And
This is true.
we have little houses, and all the houses will contain consumers. The consumers, they are just there, they just have one purpose in life, which is to eat and make us money. And but they don't know what they want to eat, so in order for them to know what they want to eat, we are going to place marketing tiles, billboards, direct mail, flyover with airplanes and radio.
Yeah, because of course in 1950s America nobody knows yet what a burger is. We need to tell them, and we need to tell them that they like it.
A magical thing, yes.
Exactly.
And you can eat burgers, pizza, there's beer, there's soft drinks, and there's, according to the rules, it's orange juice, but on BGGs people said it should be lemonade, which I think is actually a better idea. These things are placed on billboards, then they come onto houses, and that creates a demand for what people want to eat. But they don't go to the place where they are that marketed the stuff. They go to the closest restaurant and the cheapest restaurant. So what's going to happen is some person will market and another person may profit from that. And so there's a lot of intricacies on the board where you are going to place restaurants at the right position, play with your prices, play with what people want to eat what. Because if a person wants to eat a burger and a Coke, then he will go only to a restaurant that is able to give him a burger and a Coke. And if there's just burgers, he won't go there. And in this way, there's quite a complicated game on the board. There's a second game, or second aspect to the game, which is all these cards that are lying over there.
Yeah, so we'll zoom way out so people can see the huge display of cards that you guys have set up around here with one of my favorite player aids of all time. And it even says that this is a player menu. When we purchased this a few days ago, and I opened this up, I was like,
Our designer, our graphic designer, really went overboard on thinking about it.
Good job.
He almost started wearing 50s clothes.
So there's a whole lot of personnel you can hire to help you achieve your goal. You start out with just yourself, just you. You're the CEO of your new restaurant chain. You have no clue about restaurants whatsoever, but luckily you have two very important abilities. You can direct 3 persons, and you know how to hire a person. And I mean, if you can't cook yourself, you can hire a kitchen trainee, you can hire a marketing trainee.
I love we started a restaurant, we don't necessarily know how to cook, but we know how to hire.
Exactly. No, he doesn't know anything himself. But
exactly, so all these cards that we just referred to are your personnel cards. They're all listed neatly on the player aid. The ones on the left are the ones you can hire directly, and they can all get better at their job if you train them. That's what all the little arrows are for. That's how they can get better and what they can all learn.
Well, and also matches the size of the business that we would be talking about, because we were talking about just 1, 2, or 3 employees. You're not going to have a CFO. So it definitely
No.
gives it an idea of the growth of your chain.
Absolutely.
At what point would
Yes,
you need to hire
definitely.
someone in that position? You'd probably be pretty big at that point.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you will make actual, which is why we call it food chain
Sorry,
in the beginning. So you will have at some point a CEO
Here,
with
I'm
managers.
actually going to put
let's-
that out
let's
right
put
in the
it
middle
yeah.
there.
A CEO with managers reporting to the CEO, with people reporting to that managers again. So you get a whole hierarchy of people who can do stuff. Or at least if you choose to build a very big company, because there's multiple strategies, you can be very nimble, focused, very
make money.
low cost but make money. Or you can make a big sprawling company that becomes bigger and bigger, is focusing on training, recruiting and marketing, and kind of tries to make money at some point in the future.
Hopefully.
Exactly, but if the game goes on long enough, it's very well possible that the large crawling company will win just in the last turn or two. We can make
Once
enough
they
money
hit the
then.
market with a huge presence all at once.
Exactly. So there is, like in many of our games, there are really very different strategic routes that you can take in terms of, and they depend, what is best depends on how the map is laid out in the beginning, because it's always different. And it depends on what other players are doing, and it also depends on the length of the game. The players determine the length of the game in the beginning. Once they have seen the board, chosen their starting positions, they place one of these cards. Each player does that without the other players seeing it. And the game goes on until there's no more money in the bank. But then once the bank will be saved by the reserve, and the reserve will put in extra money. And the amount of extra money is determined by all the players at the beginning of the game. If it's a low amount, then the game will be short. If it's a high amount, then the game will be long. So you don't know upfront how long the game will take, except by looking at other players, seeing what kind of strategies they're playing. If everyone is playing short term, probably it will be a shorter game. If everyone is playing long term, probably. And there are some other ways that you can actually see these cards and invest in knowing what's going on, but that depends on your strategy.
Well, and back to your art design for a moment. I mean, I'm glad we laid out some of your job role cards there, because they all still have that same 50s flair to them.
Yes, very much so.
And actually, I would love for you just to take one of each of your dollar bills there, and let's lay those out in the middle, because those are pretty spectacular as well, just to give
Thank
people
you.
an idea of
there
up
was some,
close and personal view of a lot of your bits here.
there was some discussion about having paper money, because many people feel that paper money is a bit outdated in the game, but this game is
About
in
the
a way
1950s,
outdated,
right,
so
yeah.
it has to have
Right,
paper
so it's
money and
perfect.
real, and to me it feels more real to play with it. It's less convenient, but it feels real to play with this.
And you don't handle the money much in this game anyhow, because it's mainly there as a scoring mechanism and to pay salaries for your people.
There's one more very important aspect to the game,
Yes.
which is this stuff here, which are milestones.
Let me put a few in the middle.
So, one of the things we enjoy in our recent games is to have big differences between players. And in this game, what we have made are these things which are called milestones. So what happens is, if you are the first person to do a certain thing, for instance, you're the first person to lower prices, you will always be a little bit cheaper from that moment on. If you're the first person to go and find drinks on the board, you will always be a little bit better at finding drinks. If you're the first person to hire people, you get extra management, etc., etc. Now, what this does is, if you go into a certain route as a player and you're the first one to take that route, you become much better at it, and all other players are a little bit less good at exactly that thing that you have started. And this means that almost from the very beginning, or actually yes, from the very first 1 or 2 turns, there is a big difference between players, but not because we have forced the players to have that difference, but because players have chosen to go one direction or the other.
Yes, and it's much harder to follow somebody in a direction that's already been taken, because the milestones will be gone, than to forge your own path and have your own strategy with your own big bonuses. Because all the bonuses that are given here are pretty hefty.
Right. Now, I know harder to say maybe how long this game would take because there is that variable element of the reserve, but throw a number out there. What do you think?
It takes about 2 to 4 hours to play for the full game. We also have an introductory game in the rules to get you acquainted with the mechanisms that are in there and actually how to hire your personnel, how to train them, how to make some money. So that's without having to pay salaries, even without the milestones yet. It's just the base mechanisms, and that probably plays in 90 minutes even, maybe 2 hours.
We can play it in 90 minutes here at the fair.
Yeah.
It is wise to start with the introductory game because, a word of warning, it is a very tough game. All these guys need to be paid salaries, and what can very easily happen in this game is that you drive your company into bankruptcy very, very quickly, and you're just sitting there going, how do I make money? And we have looked at ways to make it less unforgiving, but everything that we tried to make it less unforgiving, in our view, made the game less fun. So, because we really like that there's this cutthroat competition, and there's a lot of interaction between players, so people can really, really, really do things to you that you hadn't foreseen and that completely ruin your business model. So the introductory game is a nice way to play it for the first time and get a feel for it. Otherwise, you may be playing something and after an hour and a half into the game, you go, there's no way I can even build up this chain to go further.
I think that's a trend that you guys have done in a lot of your games, where you don't hold back. It's you can drive yourself into the ground, but that's part of the challenge.
It's definitely, but here it's also well possible that somebody else drives you into the ground.
Good warning.
Not even intentionally, but because that was the best strategy for him to take.
Yeah.
And you're just an innocent bystander on the road and will fall over because you don't sell anything anymore. I'm very sorry, but you'll have to fire all your trained staff because they want salaries, but you can't pay. We don't have any loans from the bank. The banks have wisened up.
It's a harsh business environment, yes. And we like that because we think that it is important that every single turn should matter. So a game, if you cannot lose the game in the first turn, then the first turn should not be played. So that's a little bit the philosophy of the game. So there's no of course there's ways to catch up if you do something wonderful and smart later on, and other people make mistakes. But if all players are good, then mistakes are going to cost you. So yeah, it's that type of game.
I think you've made people pretty hungry.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
For Food Chain Magnate, thank you both for bringing this by, and
Thank you.
I can't wait to try this out at home, honestly. Thank you both.
Good. Thanks.
Thanks.